Hello everyone, I'm Nate and welcome to my channel. As you can see, we're doing something a little different today. I have been wanting to do a coffee walkthrough, a little tutorial, and one of my favorite things to do with coffee is to do Japanese style ice pour over coffee. And so that's what we're going to learn today. We're going to be using the Chemex, but just know that this technique can be used with other pour over type devices. This is just my favorite device to use. And I figured this was a perfect timing to do this video because I was reached out to by another yo-yoer here in Ohio who owns a roasting company called Grassy Creek, and we're gonna be brewing up his Ethiopia Sidama. So I'm very excited about that. I've not actually had this yet. I've not tried it, so we're gonna be kind of tasting it with this. And I think this will be a really good candidate for iced pour over. So I'll have a link to Grassy Creek in the description here where you can go ahead and buy his beans. So definitely support him, and he's a fellow yo-yoer. So, all right, let's walk through here all the different equipment that you might need for this. You don't necessarily need every single little thing here. If you're into coffee, you're gonna probably want most of these things eventually. But I've been doing this for a number of years. I actually had a little pour over, a little business for a while. So some of these things are from that. Some of these things aren't cheap necessarily either, and you could go even more expensive than these. All right, so I'm gonna walk through. You do need a good grinder. This is a Baratza. This is the Virtuoso. This is not their cheapest one, but it's also not their most expensive one, but it grinds really well. I've had it for years. The burrs on this are really solid. You can also get a really decent hand crank grinder as well. You just want something that's consistent. Also a gooseneck kettle. The one I have here is by Bonavita. And this one's really nice because you can set the temperature to it. There's a couple different gooseneck kettles like that. I believe Hario makes one like that, and I think even Chemex now makes one. But there's a couple different variations of that. So if you're into that, but this one's kind of on the cheaper side, but works really well. And I've actually had a number of these over the years that I really like. Of course, you're going to need a Chemex. They come in different sizes as well. You can get them in the 3 cup or 6 or 8, and this one's the 10. This is the beast one. And so if you're wanting to make a lot of iced coffee, which I like to do for guests that are coming over, this is a good size for that. You're also going to need filters, which we'll talk about that. I also have the Cone here filter. This is from Cone, spelled with a K, and this is a metal mesh filter. So if you're wanting to kind of save the environment a little bit more, this is from Able Brewing, the Cone. You can use that. I don't actually prefer that as far as the brew is concerned. I prefer the traditional Chemex filters, and they come in 3 different varieties as well. You can get them bleached like this, rounded, or bleached coned, like square shape, or you can get them unbleached as well. But those ones take a little more washing. You're gonna also need a decent scale. It doesn't need to be a coffee scale. This one's from Hario, a fairly cheap one, but it also has a timer built into it, and that's really nice. So if you don't have a timer built into your scale, you may also want to get an actual timer. You can use your phone stopwatch or what have you, or just the second hand on your watch if you have one. We're gonna need ice, of course, as well. I'm also gonna be using a spoon to stir as well. That's my technique. You don't need to do that, but that's an option as well. We're gonna go ahead and bring the camera a little closer as we walk through this pour over. And so let's take it from there. The key here to making good Japanese style iced coffee is getting your ratios correct. So what's gonna happen here is we're gonna actually put the ice in the carafe, and the hot water is going to be pouring through the beans directly onto the ice, and that's gonna cool it instantly. And so that keeps the integrity of the flavor of the coffee instead of kind of diluting it. A lot of iced coffee is made where it's brewed to a double strength maybe, and then ice is added or something like that, and I feel like that just waters it down. Of course, you can also make cold brew, but I believe this is my favorite just because the clarity that you get from the Chemex is just superb. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and wash our filters. One of the things I love about the filters here for Chemex 2 is how thick they are. And so that really, really helps with the clarity of the coffee. Now I've brought my kettle to about 202 degrees roughly. And what's nice about this kettle here is I can hold it at that temperature. So we're gonna rinse this really well. So we're gonna pour that through. I'm gonna let all the water come through, okay? I just got a plate here. We're gonna go ahead and pull that out, and then we're gonna go ahead and dump our water. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and bring this back to the scale. Now our ratios are going to be 225 grams of ice to 225 grams of water. So equal ratio, you can mess with that. As far as our beans, we're gonna do 30 grams, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and tear that out. I'm gonna go ahead and face this towards you so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and tear that out so it zeroes out, okay? We're gonna go ahead and take our ice here. Now, as far as your water and your ice is concerned, as far as, you know, if you can get, you know, purified water, that's ideal. But really, as long as you are comfortable drinking the water at your house, and that's what's going through maybe your ice machine in your refrigerator. I have filtered water in my house, but so it's maybe a little bit better. But as long as it's drinkable and you enjoy the taste of it, doesn't have a lot of iron maybe in it or just other things that just aren't delicious. That's what you're looking for. So if you don't have good water, I would encourage you to use maybe some spring water that you made, and also use your ice that way too. So pour some spring water in some ice trays. That would be ideal as well. Okay, so our goal here is to about 225. I put it at, it's about 230, okay? But we're pretty close. I mean, really with ice, it's a little bit tricky, okay? And so that's our goal here. We're gonna go ahead and put our filter back in. Again, with it's kind of like 3 layered here in the front. That's what's gonna go towards the front. I'm gonna put that in, make sure it's all the way sealed around, and there we go. And that's our setup there. We're gonna go ahead and take this off. We're gonna go ahead and weigh out our beans now. I'm gonna go ahead and put my kettle back on here, bring it back up to temperature, okay? I'm gonna put my canister on here. Again, we're gonna go ahead and tear it out. This is like reading a book, you know, to like children whenever you're showing them the pictures, but you're trying to read upside down. All right, again, hey, these beans are from Grassy Creek Coffee Company, a roaster out of Northwest Ohio. These are the Ethiopia Sidamo. And so this is a medium roast. They smell really good. Super, super good. Okay, all right, so we're gonna go for 30 grams of coffee here. Just make sure your scale is tared out. Now, as far as the grind size here, we're looking for something that's in like that, like kosher salt thickness, right? So a little bit coarser, but maybe not as coarse as you'd have for like a French press, if you're familiar with that. So on this Baratza Virtuoso, I have it at about 18. So you have a number scale here. So if you have a scale like this, that's what it is. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put our Chemex back on the scale. I'm gonna go ahead and put our beans in here. Make sure we get it all out of the hopper. We're gonna go ahead and kind of flatten that out a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and take our water here. We're gonna make sure we're tared out. So again, our mass goal is to get to 225 grams here. Now what we're gonna do first is we're going to pour in about 60 grams. So however many grams of coffee you did, reach for about double of that. And you're trying to get all of the grounds wet. This is the pre-infusion stage or the blooming stage. And you're gonna see how fresh your coffee is really, and how fresh the ground the coffee is. And so we're gonna go ahead and just do a slow pour with the gooseneck here, starting in the center and working our way around. And it's reached about 50 grams, but all my coffee is wet. We're gonna go ahead and give it a quick little stir here, kind of pick up a little bit. And that way it gets all of the grounds completely soaked. We're gonna let that sit here now for about 45 seconds and let that sort of drip through. Now that we've let it sit here, we're gonna go ahead and continue the pour. We're gonna take our time. Our goal is to get to about 3 to 4 minutes as far as our pour, 3.5 minutes roughly. And again, our goal is to get to 228 grams. Slowly pour in from the center. You don't want to just go ahead and dump all the water in at once. You want to take your time with that. That way it's getting a nice, even, full extraction of the beans. Gonna work our way out from the middle to the center here now again. So we're at about 137 grams. Again, taking our time. You can really tell how well you ground the coffee. If it's too coarse, it's going to be pouring through a lot quicker. If it's too fine, you're going to have a longer extraction, you're going to have a more bitter coffee. So you want to find that really nice grind ratio. So if it's really kind of extending beyond 4 minutes, you probably have too fine a grind. If it's really like 2 minutes or less, you're probably having too coarse of a grind. Taking our time here. We're at 181 now. Okay, just about 5 more grams here. Okay, just a little bit more. There we are. Now for the final kind of swirl here, I'm just gonna kind of swirl it around. I'm gonna pick up just a little bit. And that's it. I don't wanna stir that, but I do wanna kind of scrape along the sides here so that it gets a nice flat extraction. So there we have it. We're gonna go ahead and pull that filter out there. Go ahead and chuck that in the trash. And now you have beautiful Japanese style iced pour over Chemex. So again, this is the Grassy Creek Coffee Company. Again, I'll have the link in the description there. All right, let's go ahead and taste it. That's really nice. I'm really picking up a lot of the floral notes on this. Some of the notes that he mentioned here as the roaster, floral with milk chocolate finish. I definitely can taste that. What's nice about a Japanese style pour over is you really maintain the integrity of the flavor of the intended coffee from the roaster. That's gonna do it for this one. If you liked this tutorial on coffee, perhaps I'll do another type of video like this. I know there are a lot of coffee drinkers out there in the yo-yo world, so if you like this one, make sure you like, and let me know in the comments if you want to see more things like this, and particularly what kind of things you would want to see as far as they're coffee related. All right, I got a lot more other devices in my kitchen. So, all right, that's gonna do it for now. Until the next one. Later.